Okay, hello? Can we all hear me? Mic check, hello. Right. Hello, okay, excellent. Alright, hello everybody. Hope you're all doing well. We'll get started in just a sec. I'm just setting up all the business on this end, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, excellent. All right. Moving over. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Aboard the Northstar, episode 1. This is sort of a pilot episode, I guess, so I'm going to be figuring out things as we go along. Basically, the gist is, for about 40 minutes to an hour, I'm going to be talking about several topics that I picked up. I'm going to do this about once every 2 weeks, give or take, depending on how it does. And depending on how many topics there are, you know, may well run out of topics at the pace I like to go. I'm coming to you today in waveform. Usually I'd have my face in the corner, but I did not sleep particularly well last night. So I'm gonna leave that out for today, but usually my face will be there. Okay, before we get in, we do have a couple sponsors, actually. Sort of a cop-out, but I'd like to thank my supporters on Patreon for making stuff like this happen, you know. There's several options you can choose from. Plenty of ways you can approach this, but, you know, you get a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff, and they make episodes like this possible. I'd also like to thank my channel members as well on YouTube as well. We got a couple last stream that we did. So thank you guys for supporting the channel. I'd also like to mention I have a creator code now. If you missed that, you can now use creator code Northstar, either in the item shop, both in Rocket League and Fortnite. I wouldn't know where it is in Fortnite, but it's somewhere. And also on the Epic Games store, if ever you plan to pick up a game. So maybe consider using creator code Northstar at checkout. Okay, great. So if you're watching this back on the VOD, this is going to just be sort of almost like one of my videos, pretty much. If you're watching this back, I'm going to leave some timestamps as well that you can follow along if you're looking for like specific topics. So yeah, let's just jump right in. Our first topic for today, if I can bring that up, is season 11. So let me just move some stuff around. Okay, so season 11 dropped just yesterday. In fact, quite early in the morning. I was quite surprised. I ended up waking up at like 4 o'clock, and it was there pretty much. Season didn't start immediately; it never does. But eventually, I believe earlier, it did start. We got a new map, Estadio Vida. Quite an interesting map. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we go on. And we got a new featured car for this season, being the Nissan Silvia. I've been calling it the Silver for quite a bit now. I don't know why, but yeah, there it is, the Nissan Silvia. Initial launch, there's been quite a lot of problems, actually. Mainly server issues. Just quite a lot of server issues, really. I noticed some actual disconnects, but there is also a bit of a bug at the moment where the disconnect icon comes up regardless of the health of the server, which I don't know if anyone's played much yet, but it's very hard to concentrate. I've had a bit of a pickle with it. I played a few games yesterday and also a bit today, just in preparation, and it's been interesting. Might wait for it to be fixed though. It's a bit grating if I'm honest. So the general consensus on the season is that it's pretty good form, actually, from Psyonix. We've had a really good string quite recently. Like the previous ones, the last few maps have been pretty good as well. So it's all been really pretty swell, actually, so far. What did I miss? Oh, we're just getting started, really. We haven't missed much of anything. We just started our first topic. Is Season 11. So having spent a bit of time with it now, if anyone in chat has also spent a bit of time with it, what are your thoughts on Season 11? So I did ask my community, just sort of their initial thoughts in my community tab. It seems that the sort of running thought of it is that the map is pretty good. People tend to like the map. I haven't seen anything bad about the map particularly. People say they really like the car. I can't help but agree. One thing I noticed is that people, I know this seems to be quite a common thing, is that none of the other items in the rocket pass are particularly any good. They never seem to be able to hit that note particularly well. Great simple season. That's very true. I agree with that, and I'll sort of bring in my opinion here. So for me, the car, I was definitely expecting them to go this route. I talked about this previously in a video about licensed cars and whatnot. I said that they'd like with the rocket pass, they would go down the route of just getting licensed cars every time, and that's definitely what they've done now. It just makes a bunch of sense, particularly like cars people are sort of pining for, like these sort of drift cars and whatnot. So yeah. In terms of the map, people say they really like the map. I'm not particularly sold on it. I'm sort of half in, half out at the moment. It definitely has its problems. First of all, I feel like it's a little too bright for its own good. I played a few matches on it today, and it just is a bit too bright for its own good. Particularly like compared to the previous ones, which have had really good lighting. I think they need to like maybe tone it down a little bit, maybe. That's a really easy fix, to be honest. It also feels weirdly small. I don't know why that is particularly the case. I think it's because there's not too much detail going on, particularly like on or nearby the pitch. Particularly like the nets. I don't know if you've really been inside the nets. There is not much going on with regards to detailing around the nets. So it's a bit weird. It's not better than last season's. Yeah, I sort of agree with that. Last season's was like really good. Like probably one of the best. So I can't really knock them because it's okay. Like I'm not going to do a map review for this one. So I sort of just said it. I'd probably give it like an 8, maybe 7.5, sort of around there. I think it's passable. I think it's fine. But yeah. So they've changed quite a bit this season. One of the major things is that they've introduced old bugs back. Yay! Yeah. So this launch has been a bit funky. I'm sure some of you have seen it already, sort of just going in. But it's not exactly what you would describe as a sort of clean launch. Psyonix have never been particularly good at so-called clean launches. One of the funnier ones is this white car here. Unfortunately, even this bug is not as good as the previous season's bug, which is where you could make your car as bright as the sun. I really miss that. Unfortunately, the bloom thing doesn't work on this car. I checked. But yeah, if you're wondering, if you get the new car and you get the bubbly decal and set it to white as a secondary, it'll just white out completely. So if you want to screw around with that, feel free. You can also do fireworks as well. I was shown that by Josh in chat. And that will also sort of do the same thing. So Spotty Mod says, I'm not playing the game until they fix a disconnect symbol in free play and in the game. Yeah, it is pretty bad. It's distracted me a few times. I'm certainly not going to play like ranked with it. If it happens every now and then in casual, it's not world ending, but if like I wouldn't want that in my ranked games, for example. Because that would be way too distracting, right? I wouldn't want that. Fireworks isn't good, but it's still funky. Yeah, it's still basically almost fully white out. I just find it funny that I mean, how long has this game been going now? 7 years, coming up on 8. We still have these launch day problems, you know, with like server issues and like weird bugs that pop out. It makes you wonder, like, sort of how these things keep happening. Particularly this one. This is the same bug that happened last time, and it's happened again. One of those weird things. 1 month till 8. Wow, we're almost there, aren't we? Yeah. Jeez. I can't be playing this game for 8 years. That's silly. Really, really silly. Why did I play this game so much? One thing as well, you may have clocked in on, some of you. Unfortunately, I didn't bring up a slide on it. I could bring up my own tracker rank. I'll do that later. Is the hold on, I've got an idea. Is the MMR shift that they've done. They've done a really serious MMR shift this season. I don't know how to bring up my details. Like, yeah, there has been a massive change in the sort of ranked. I'll bring the video up again. In the MMR shift. So the main thing was that they wanted to, because 2s has been drifting up quite badly recently. I did that poll, it's more of a quiz, in one of my community posts about what proportion of 1s players are Grand Champ or better. And at the time, at the end of last season, that was 0.95% of players. But for 2s, that is over 12%. Almost, I'm pretty sure it's over 1.8. No, 1/8 of the player base were champ, which is an insane proportion of the player base to being champ compared to like 1s, or even standard, which was like 5%. So I guess they wanted to sort of rein in these, you know, MMR differences. And obviously it's gonna annoy some people because like you drop an absolutely insane amount of MMR in one go. I want to see how much I dropped. Hold on. So I am currently. It dropped me down from about I was Grand Champ 1 Division 1 at the end of last season. I was 1443, and I am now Champion 1 Division 3. Jesus. Okay. And that's a drop of over... Hold on, I'll just bring up. Whee! There you go. Yeah, so this is me last season. Ignore that. Don't look at that. No one cares about that. So you can see here, 1443, whatever. Just got into Grand Champ, so I could say I was in Grand Champ. Boom! There you go. Damn. They've also, thank God for me, I don't have to be a plat rat in any of the extra modes anymore. So they've raised me up to the diamond, which is nice. Good for them. I need to get some. Oh, it's pretty bad. So yeah, they're trying to sort of make them equivalent. So, because it used to be that if someone told you they were like what champ 2 in 1s, you'd be like, oh, that's like a GC. When in reality, they should be a champ. So clearly they've been trying to adjust stuff. And we'll see stuff like just how ballooned this rank got. They obviously were trying to modify things to the best of their ability, which is fair enough, to be honest. I can't fault them for that. I'm kind of happy they increased the extra modes, to be honest. They were definitely... The issue is that there's not many people playing them, and that because of that, they are just doomed to fall like that. Because you lose that core player base to get the MMR off of. But you know, I'm happy they've brought it up a bit. I think, yeah, there was definitely some issues stemming from like how wild people's ranks were getting. Like, this is just ridiculous, to be honest. Like, I was I was barely holding on in Diamond 1, and I'm a GC2 in Freeze. That's how huge the difference was. I know I don't really play ones, right? To be honest, I don't play that much. But surely, you know, I should be able to just exist in like champ, for instance, just with like the foundation of a Grand Champ player. So yeah, I kind of agree with them. I can see why it'd be a bit controversial, and as MR Carl says, people will get used to it. This will be a distant memory in however long. People kept getting offended when I would bring up the fact that the ranks were inflated to 2s. Yeah, you couldn't really bring it up in any decent way without sounding like you're disparaging them, but it was true. It was way too high. To nuke it in one go like this, that's a bit much. I feel they should have maybe slowly dragged it down over time. But fair enough, you know, if they just want to get it out of the way, then yeah, that works too. In my opinion, Freeze is a bit inflated too, but more play too, so it's affected more. Yeah. Oftentimes, it's affected by the player counts, which is why they sort of, the ranks sort of correlate to like the amount of people that play them. Like, most people are going to be much lower in their extra modes, because generally less people play them, while like more popular modes will generally be a bit higher, because you have people go both ways when you have more players. So, but yeah, generally though, overall, how do we feel about season 11? I think, you know, it's a pretty decent season, to be honest. Not much other than the usual stuff to complain about, you know, like the bugs and whatnot. I think they've done a pretty good job. The Nissan Silvia, I think, is a really good choice. I hope they keep up this sort of trajectory with the Rocket Pass cars. I think they do a great job. As we said, the map is good. I like the map. I think the map does more than enough, really. Not better than 7. Yeah, I would say it's not even better than the previous one. But the last few we've had have been really good. I think I've got to give credit where credit is due. I think they've done a really good job recently with like what people want from these. So yeah, excellent. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, sort of on a sort of relevant trajectory. Instead of talking about the now, we're going to talk about the future. Man, I completely forget, Carol, about the tournament rewards. Every season, I forget they exist. Yeah. Moving from the present now to the future. Unreal Engine 5. So, I wanted to bring up Unreal Engine 5 because, you know, we're now a step closer to it. So as the new season arrives and RLCS Worlds draws closer, a lot of speculation is being brought up about the potential announcement for the much anticipated Unreal Engine 5 update. Obviously, being in a much older engine, the game is starting to show its age a bit. So when do we think this announcement will be made? So yeah, we're in a bit of a weird spot with Unreal Engine 5. We've had a few seasons now where people have speculated that it's coming, and it hasn't. But I feel like every now and then we get a step closer, And it's been a while now. The announcement was like way back in March, maybe even earlier. But at the same time, it was a leak. Probably not what they wanted, so it's probably a bit sooner than they would like to allude to. So I do have I have 2 running theories currently for Unreal Engine 5. My first is a sort of optimistic, and as people have said in chat already, that it will be announced at RLCS Worlds, which is in August, so only a couple months away at this point. At some point during the event, probably right at the end, to be honest. Which would be the hype option, and I would say is optimistic. I feel like an announcement would go down well. Whether it would be a planned release anytime near then, I doubt. But I think the idea of having it sort of announced then would be a great idea. Or the World's event, that's when everyone's watching. Yeah, exactly. They will, I imagine they'll make a spectacle of it, considering how hyped up it is, as it is right now. My sort of second theory, they're planning to take a 5-month break after Worlds. Oh, really? I didn't hear that. That's a convenient amount of time to launch an event like this. Unreal Engine. I find this post is really funny. It's the news by GG Recon. They're talking about back when we had the season 10 stuff. No, season 9. With all the Lotus stuff. They're like, oh, we're going to be blossoming into the Unreal Engine 5, and it just didn't happen. So, RIP. Well, that would make sense, because with obviously CS:GO sort of went the same route. They did it in between their yearly tournament events, which makes sense because you wouldn't want to jump a major update right in the middle of RLCS, because that would not go down well, and it would mess people up pretty badly. And as Kyo says, you know, people forget how big that difference is. Like, that is a colossal difference. And it's also, it's just all the stuff that they have to carry across too. You know, like the exact, like, mechanics of everything, making sure it works exactly the same. The engines are, like, really, really far apart now. So it's a lot of work to make sure it's all good. It just ultimately it depends how long they've really been thinking about it. Because if it's only been like a year or so, then we're still miles away. But you know, if it's a bit closer than that, then maybe not. Well, my second theory is that they won't do it this year, but they will announce it next year, which will mean that we'll be much closer to having 14 seasons this chapter, which is the same amount that we had last chapter. I figured that would make a lot of sense, and also would give them more time, obviously. But that's just me sort of. There's no guarantee that the chapters will be the same length. Obviously, that's just pure speculation on my part. But the hope is, though, that we do get it soon. I would love an announcement at Worlds. That would be amazing. I don't even know how they would announce that. But I'm trying to imagine the video, right, of that announcement. What would that... yeah. I couldn't imagine the game looking too much different. I guess they would just have to throw the logo up. Be like, it's coming. I think it's been a concept since Epic acquired Sonic. think that's a really good observation, because obviously, you know, Unreal Engine 5, that's sort of Fortnite's bread and butter, really. They love that engine so much. They use it for everything. So I do wonder, like, once the acquisition like hit, maybe they just, like, on like the first few days, that's what they just did. They just came through and they were like, all right, we're gonna help you port Rocket League over to Unreal Engine 5. I do wonder about stuff like graphical differences. Wondering if there'd be that much difference. I imagine they'd definitely clean up a lot of the sort of, because you can see now when you load the game up that they're really trying to emulate that clean look with the engine, but it's just not quite there now anymore. They've really, obviously, the Unreal Engine 3 has been through quite a lot, and they do try their best. But you compare that to like loading up like Fortnite or any other game with Unreal Engine 5, and the difference is just staggering, really. Even a game like Crab Champions, which I played a bunch recently, the difference is just crazy, to be honest. I imagine everything's probably going to be ported over, really. I think if they started over, that would be crazy. Can you imagine? Like a hard reset? Ooh, painful. I imagine, I feel like probably worst case scenario, we'd probably lose some items, maybe. Like some old redundant ones that have been in since the start. I do wonder about stuff like what's going to happen with the maps, whether they're going to touch up the maps at all. Because obviously some of these maps now are pretty old. Like, if you think about the game was developed in, I think, 2 years. So stuff like Manfield and like the launch maps like that, probably like almost a decade old by this point. So they definitely need a bit of a touch up, which just adds to the laundry list of stuff that they need to do to get Unreal Engine 5 on the way. I imagine we'll get like a little tag for playing the game before the launch. I think it's something they definitely need to do. I think this is quite necessary for the game going into the future. I know there's a bunch of functionality improvements with Unreal Engine 5 that would help Rocket League, you know, progress the way they need to. With all the current motion, yeah, they'd be gone. The hope would be that we get some new stuff on the way. Oh god, we're gonna lose Bacchus mod, aren't we? That's gonna be a really tough blow for a lot of people. I'm one of them. That would destroy me. But you know, as long as the game looks nice. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not too much to say about Unreal Engine 5 outside of speculation, because obviously we don't have any of the details about it. But I think it's interesting to think about. So obviously, hopefully, we do get Unreal Engine 5. At least an announcement or some sort of information at Worlds. That would be the hype thing. But we'll have to wait and see. You know, we're still a couple months away from that. You know, 2 months is quite a long time. So yeah, what I might do, I might put a community post up whether for people whether they think there'll be an announcement this year or next year. I'm very curious to see what that kind of split would be. Okay, so we have one more topic, and then after that, we'll just talk about random stuff for a bit. Okay, so let me move on. Hello, Tasty. All right. we have one more thing, and that is something that came up recently, about a week ago. And that is Rocket League Racing. Very interesting. So a few weeks ago, a leak arrived which suggested that Epic Games were working on a new project for Rocket League Racing. The nature of this mode is unknown, but the name does give away what the focus will be. Is this a new mode or game? And how likely is it to succeed? So this is a bit of a sort of out, I want to say out of left field. But it makes a lot of sense. Obviously we play with cars. It would make sense to do like some sort of racing thing with it. This came along with like a bunch of other stuff. It wasn't even the main ticket on there. I think it was related to, yeah, oh, here it is. Like a collaboration between Fortnite and Lego. Oh. We also got Chapter 5 for Fortnite, and then you have Rocket League Racing at the bottom. So not really very high on like the list there. That's just like collab stuff. And then you have Rocket League at the bottom. As a speedrunner, I know you played the that one game quite a lot. So yeah, there's a few things. I guess the main thing is, if we do get something like that, would it be a solo title like Sideswipe, or would it be just a new mode for Rocket League? So in terms of like sort of launching a solo sort of Rocket League racing mode, I don't think it would particularly work for the Rocket League IP. Because for the first part, it would have to compete with sort of established titles. It does have, I'd say Rocket League does have some unique mechanics that it could draw from compared to just normal racing. It would definitely be much more kinetic, which would definitely help it in some ways. And obviously it's got the backing of Psyonix and Rocket League and whatnot. But I don't know. In my personal opinion, I don't think this would work as a solo launch the same way that Sideswipe didn't really work as a solo launch. Obviously I can't count on the numbers, but and also I can't speak for anyone else, but I forget about Sideswipe constantly, and the only reason that I remember it exists is because they post about it on Twitter sometimes. So so I don't really see that really working that way. Won't work as a solo game. It'll only have a small community, so that's exactly how I see it going. It would be far too sort of, you'd be playing it and you sort of feel like, oh, why am I not just in a Rocket League EXE at the moment? Why am I playing a completely different game? And it also, everyone would be on Epic as well instead of on Steam as well, which would just like, that wouldn't help it at all either. So yeah, it's probably not going to be a solo launch. What's probably more likely is that it's going to be sort of like a mode that we get to play, because we've seen them push the boat out fairly recently. We had the knockout mode where you could throw people around and whatnot. So they definitely have aspirations for taking the ball away, as you were. In terms of like how well that would go, I think it ultimately depends on how they execute it. Because if it's just like a limited time mode, that's just kind of boring, because it's just going to go away and then they'll just put it out every now and then. And I don't really like when they do stuff like that. It just disappears. Like I think that the extra modes tab is completely underutilized by like actual good modes, like for example Heat Seeker, which definitely should be there, and they aren't because they're limited time modes, unlike Knockout and Spike Rush. I kind of get why they keep it off the list, because it would be a lot of MMR tracking that they would have to do. But I don't know. As I said, it depends on how they execute it, really. I think what I'm hoping is if they do Unreal Engine 5 and then Rocket League Racing, we would see a sort of shift in how they handle the extra modes. So we would get, you know, new ones. Maybe they cycle them in properly. Stuff like that. But, you know, it's interesting. I hope to see it soon. Because obviously there's been a lot of rumors of Epic Games sort of shifting stuff around recently. They've been moving people to make new stuff. But we'll see. We'll see. Extra mode rotation, so they changes every season. Yeah. I think the problem I always have with Rocket League in general is that it's too static. You know, they don't mix enough up really season to season, and they have all the tools to do that already, like the new modes, the stuff like that. But it's just sort of, they don't really do enough, I feel. I know that they're sort of probably, they're a bit preoccupied with working on the engine move over, so they're sort of padding us along. So anyway, that's sort of what I hope for moving on with new modes and stuff like that. Personally, if they throw out this mode as a standalone deal, I think it will just flop completely. I don't think it would work as a solo project. But if it came as a mode, I think it would be really cool. You know, you could just chill. Because a mode like that would be a lot less serious than your typical gameplay loop of Rocket League, right? You know, you could go, all right, I've had enough of playing, you know, regular Rocket League matches now. Let's just do some like parkour racing with some people. Get like 8 people on a pitch, got like run up walls and stuff. I think that would be really cool. We've seen that. I don't know if you guys know about Akri's Patat. I've got him. He's in my channels list. He's working on the creative mode stuff. I just have his Twitter link. Shame. But you can see here. He's working on his own sort of creative mode stuff. He's sort of, every time he does like a little showcase, he has like a little racetrack, and I just think, oh, that'd be so cool if you could like race people like this. I'm sure, yeah, people would get really good at it. You'd have to make a bunch of maps, but like I imagine stuff like this would be insanely cool, you know. Also, by the way, check out, he's a very cool dude. Unfortunately, I feel like he's going to finish creative mode, and then Unreal Engine 5 is going to hit, and it's all going to go away for him. Which I hope he at least has a window with it. But yeah. So yeah, that's my my thoughts on those topics today. My friend Blacku made a save load feature for that, so you can save your question. Yeah, I saw he posted that. I didn't know he had a collaborator on that. That's very cool. Okay, are there any sort of closing questions people wanted to maybe ask, maybe wanted to talk about stuff before we hop off? So take a quick sip of water. Oh, how often are you doing these streams? About once every 2 weeks. That way there's enough time for like new stuff to happen. And so I'm not overwhelmed with the lack of topics that I have. That's sort of the plan where I'm at with that. I also I haven't really decided on this yet, but I would like to like bring people on for this. I think that would definitely help me. You know, I've never been particularly great for talking for more than like a handful of minutes, which is why these videos are the length that they are. Oh, I like that. See, Got distracted by my own thumbnail. That's good, isn't it? Yeah. This is why we're here right now, to be honest. Because I wanted to provide people sort of longer form stuff they can watch back. But yeah, very cool. Yeah, guys, as a reminder, be sure to like and subscribe. You know, apparently the likes help the stream. I don't really have too much. I heard someone talk about it once. They said that if you like the stream, it helps people find it. Podcast style content maybe, or interviews. Yeah, that sort of deal. You know, I was trying to... today I wanted to sort of keep things on the down low. You know, I'm not much of a energetic person. You listen to this for hours. Oh, thank you, Jose. Oh, I am sweating pretty bad though. I don't know if I could sit here for more than like an hour at a time. All right, people. Thank you very much for watching though. I do appreciate you guys coming along. So the reason that I did this on Thursday is because RLCS stuff kicks off tomorrow. I didn't want to get in its way. You know, I wouldn't want to ruin their viewership or anything. So we'll probably be back, depending on what's on, in a couple weeks. It'll either be like a day like today, or it'll be in sort of like the weekend, just sort of when it's available. And if you're watching along on the VOD, I do really appreciate you watching along on the VOD. Tell me what you liked about this format. I'd love to hear from you. But anyways, people, thank you very much for watching. Like a lot of people load up for event content such as the background. Yeah, that's sort of my idea too. You know, I'm always looking for stuff I can just throw up on my side screen while I'm playing or screwing around. All right, guys. Thanks for coming along. I do appreciate those who joined us live. Obviously, I always appreciate that. Make sure you guys check out the Patreon if you haven't already, and maybe the membership tab as well. Both of those are available. They're also in the description if you're interested. All right, thank you so much, guys, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon. I got a video coming out tomorrow. Nearly forgot to say it. I have a video coming out tomorrow, so you'll see that when it comes out. About this time, maybe a bit earlier. All right, I hope you all enjoy your weekend and whatnot, whatever you plan to do with it. I hope season 11 treats you well and whatnot. I know it's going to destroy me somewhat, but there you go. All right, have a good one, guys.